NEDAP interviewed longtime Queens homeowner Nerida Soto-Cuccia of Queens Village. Her story is the story of countless homeowners in New York City and across the country who are at risk of foreclosure, of losing their home because of abusive mortgage lending practices.
My name is Nerida Soto-Cuccia, and I was a registered nurse, a nurse practitioner. I've been retired for over a year and a half. And I got married to Mr. Medine about 3 years ago, but I haven't taken that name yet. I worked in the public sector, in health and hospital corporations, for like 39 years. Councilwoman Rosie Mendez proclaimed it my day on my last week of work. And so she had this proclamation drawn up for me. So I have a son and a daughter, and I have a granddaughter who is 3.5. They live with me. I've been in this house for 26 years. I have a husband, James, of 3 years. I live in Queens Village. I've lived in Queens Village for the 26 years. I moved actually from Elmhurst. My first mortgage, I bought this house for $52,000 26 years ago. In the last year or so, I started just kind of researching to see what the mortgage rates were at. I was wanting to renovate the house, and so I went with a home equity for 70 grand, which was fine, and that would bring my mortgage payment. Borrowing that kind of money, which I didn't have to use all that money, would bring it up to about $1,600 a month. I was thinking it would be my last refi. I had started to contract for the work on the house, and I took out that mortgage in about April, March. I mean, it was just a brand new home equity. And on May 30th, I get that call, okay, and there's a Courtney on the phone from Nationwide, and put that Nationwide because that really wasn't who I was dealing with. I found out much later. Offering me 2.5% for 5 years, or a mortgage. She could save me a lot of money. And I said, wow, that sounds really good. I said, it sounds too good to be true. I said, but you know, if you can do this, but I wasn't talking, then I just come from the hospital. I said, you can call me in a week. Call me later. So a week later, she calls me with the same offer. Too good to be true. And she introduced me to Mr. Richard White. I told him, I said, I don't need this mortgage. I said, but if it's I says, understand, if you can get me this, that's different. But I don't need this mortgage. I'm set with what I have now. It's very manageable. No, this is for you. Look, 2.25%. Where are you going to get to? This is a special promotion, yada, yada, yada. You know, that's a great interest rate, even for 5 years. And that affords you a lot of possibilities. And he even encouraged me to take $100,000 additional to get the 2.25 instead of 2.5 for investment purposes. There's no investing to recoup 8.25%. You know, he was calling me 3-4 times a day. You know, a couple of times when he told me when he was coming over to when he was coming to the closing, I said to him, well, I need numbers. You haven't given me any numbers. You know, a lot of it was done on the phone. That's the other thing. You know, I had asked him for papers. No, I'll give them to you at closing, you know. So he gave me all, write this down, the numbers of what he was paying off the mortgage, the existing mortgage, a home equity, a credit card. And when I added that up and the $100,000, my closing fees were ridiculous. So I said to him, you know what? These are ridiculous. These closing fees are off the walls, off the charts. I said to him, you know what? Just pass my house. I don't want this mortgage. Yeah. You know, there's a tax deduction, we have at 2.25%, we have to make some money, blah, 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 blah. So he came and he showed up with the notary. He showed up with a person supposedly from Countrywide, his assistant, and a child, okay? And I think Michael called that hotboxing. Hotboxing means you just take the client and you put him in such a confused, you know, environment, you know, that you're trying to do what you have to do. I mean, the last time I refinanced, I had just with a notary, but it was just the two of us, and I had plenty of time to look at what I was doing, and he was not in a hurry. This guy was in a hurry. I mean, I don't understand how I did this to myself. But through the mortgage closing, he shows me the paper, and he makes a point of showing me That's what really bothers me. That says 2.25% for 5 years at $1,619, and then it would go up to 5.5% after 5 years, which would be about $2,000 a month. And that was doable, very doable. So rush, 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 you know, then in the middle of this, the guy who was supposed to be from Countrywide comes over, he says, you forgot to sign 2 papers. And again, it was like you were hit by a hurricane. They came in and they were out of the house, okay? And I said, you know, at least in my mind, I was thinking I'll get a chance to look at the closing papers when they leave and carefully review everything. They left, 9 o'clock, my babies went to sleep and were quiet. I sat down and I started to look through it, and I had, what a stack of papers, what a stack of garbage it ended up being. You know, it ended up being the assessment of my house, it ended up being the title search, my credit report, and again, only one paper that said how much I owed Countrywide, and that I would be paying the $1,600 and something, my first payment, September 1st, and that would be interest and principal. Then there were the opt-out papers and some other papers, but nothing, oh, the one paper that showed me the closing costs from Countrywide only. Okay, I don't have, there's $14,000 totally unaccounted for. So I said to Jim, this is, you know, I didn't see the paper I signed for 2.25% and 5.5%, but I had signed it. So I called Mr. White immediately. I mean, 9 o'clock at night I was calling him. Oh, I don't understand why Craig from Countrywide didn't leave you those papers. I don't know what he was thinking. I said, well, have them overnighted because I have to look at them. My first statement came on August 6th, and that's really when I got the true description of my mortgage. The mortgage was with Countrywide. I get the statement, and the statement says clearly that the interest rate is 8.25%. It's $3,100 a month, over $3,000. The $1,619 was a minimum payment, okay, and with negative amortization. And as I said, that was a new word for me, never heard it before. So I read very carefully. Negative amortization means that's the minimum you can pay, but it doesn't cover your principal and your interest. So whatever interest you don't pay, which ends up being over $900 to $1,000 a month, that gets added to your mortgage, okay, at an interest of 8.25%, okay? So within 3.5 years or so, you're easily reaching 110% of the mortgage, and then you have to pay the full mortgage. You can't pay the minimum anymore. So then you're forced to pay. In my case, if I weren't paying a mortgage straight across, it would cost me over $5,000 a month. $5,000 a month is over what my income for the month. So
Ms. Cuccia's broker sold her one of the most dangerous mortgage products on the market today, called an option ARM, a very complicated product that gives people a choice as to what payments they're going to make each month. It's led hundreds of thousands of homeowners straight into foreclosure.
I mean, and the other sweet deal for them is that for the 3 years, I am unable to pay down my principal. There is a prepayment penalty. I mean, just cuff me and throw me into a cell. I mean, that really means that I have no outs because of the fact that in the 3 years, I'm probably going to hit that 110%. And so by the time I reach that amortized mortgage of $5,000, if I go that way, nobody's going to refi me. I couldn't believe it. I mean, people lose their homes. They would lose their homes, you know. They would just be out on the street, and the people who do this and have these disgusting mortgage packages don't give a damn.